Section YY8 podcast is back on the air. It seems like we're on a every other week program right now, but we're back at it for at least this week. We'll try it again, maybe next week, but probably take a week off next week, but we'll see. But glad to be back on the air. A lot to get to, a lot to talk about, some new segments. Or a new segment I've got for the guest and the co-host on the show tonight. But let's start first. Day Vols here with us. Day, what's going on?
Messing with the green screen. Other than that,
yeah,
sitting YY8.
If you're watching this, we've got a YouTube channel up, still messing with the video, trying to get that figured out. But if you're watching this, it looks like our view from YY8. Rest in peace. But Day's trying to work on his green screen. We're going on. He'll figure that out hopefully at some point. And who else do we have with us? And we're having audio trouble.
Are we?
Who do we have with us?
He's ignoring you.
This is not shocking that this is happening.
It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
Audio problems galore. All right, I'm going to cut this out. Let's start over.
Okay. Gavin,
log out and log back in. Oh, what's going on? What in the world? Somebody told me that Teams is a good, I've never used Teams. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Apparently you can, it gives you like a certain amount of time, but it never cuts you off like Zoom will.
It's this light above me that's washing me out. I figured it out.
You're fine. It's
the green screen. Sorry, the green
screen's not straight. It's just not stretched far enough.
Which is crazy. I can't get it stretched.
It's just the bottom there on your left. I guess. Is that your left?
Well, that's my right.
Oh, you're right. Okay, my left.
But this light's not doing me any favors either. That's right above my head.
Like when you're leaning forward right now, I can see a shadow behind you.
Yeah, it's because of this light right above me. Let's see if I can get it off though. Basement den, bedroom. I don't know which light it is. Wasn't that one?
Boom.
Gavin's back.
Wasn't that one?
With no video. What the? I'm good now.
Okay.
No, that made it worse, didn't it? Jeez.
Wow, what happened? All right, we're gonna start over. We're gonna start over. All righty. Can everybody? So what I'll do is I'll let you all introduce yourselves. We'll start with Davey, and then we'll surprise everybody with Gavin. All right, Section YY8 podcast is back on the air. We took a week off last week, like we've been doing for the past month or so since basketball's been over, but we're back for another show. A lot of people have been begging for us to do more shows. I actually posted 2 last week. I posted the one, Big Montana special guest called in. Day Vol was with us. And then I posted another one of Tennessee basketball wrap up with the Vols Basketball Fever guys. But if you haven't listened to any of those, go back and listen to those 2 great shows. All right, we're not playing around tonight. We're going to get right into this thing. Who do we got on the show tonight? Let's start with Day Vols here. What's going on?
Checking in from YY8.
And beautiful view. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, that's what our view was like from YY8. It's beautiful.
A lot of missed passes, a lot of missed things happen in that.
A lot of blunder, a lot of bad stuff happened there. Very few good things. I think probably our best win there was probably what, Georgia 2015, Florida 2016.
Yeah, that was the best.
That's been 6-7 years ago already. Crazy. And who else we got with us tonight?
I'm back, baby.
He's back.
Like he never left.
Gavin is back. He's not in a closet. He's in his new home office.
That's right.
Doors are closed.
Look like a closet though, so
kinda. Doors are closed. No cat.
No cat yet.
No cat yet. He'll get in there at some point. But
That's
Gavin is back. Where have you been?
It's kind of a dead period for me. I don't enjoy baseball, so I've kind of just been
tomfoolery
struggling around. talking baseball is fun, but it ain't doing nothing for me. I don't watch it, so
It's hard to watch on TV.
It is, but how can you not watch it when Tennessee is number 1 in the country? And
we're throwing bats at people, man.
I'm not trying to jinx us. Please don't get this wrong. I'm not trying to jinx us.
Gosh dang it.
I'm just saying, if they continue on this path, if they continue on this trajectory and do what they can do, they could be the greatest college baseball team of all time.
It's pretty wild, yeah.
That's serious. I'm not just saying that like I'm a Tennessee fan. They're dominating right now. That is legitimate. You can look at them, see what they're doing statistically, look at their win-loss record, what they're doing, what this program's doing. They're on a trajectory. If they continue to do it and do what they can do and are probably right now supposed to do, they could be the most dominant college baseball team ever. I mean, just think about that. A Tennessee team is the most dominant team ever in something.
It's fitting that I don't watch them.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Please don't start.
I'm not going to. Don't worry.
We'll talk. We'll talk about me here in just a minute, but I probably shouldn't step foot on that campus with my luck.
It's better without the podcast even being in contact with it.
We gotta have a podcast.
Oh, sorry, the commercials are
the people want
giving us a strobe light for the YouTubers out there.
So we're recording this. Day-Day's what Tennessee's playing while we're recording this. First of 3 games at Kentucky. They're up there with the mouth breathers, Gavin.
Ugh, knuckle draggers, mouth breathers.
And there's literally, I know it's raining up there, but there's literally no one at the game. I think there's more Tennessee fans there.
They gotta get money down in the earth right now.
Well, I'm glad they're working because there's not really many other people in this country that are working. Sad. All right. So let's just dive right into it. We'll talk about me here in a minute, but Tennessee baseball last weekend took down Auburn 2 out of 3, lost on Saturday 8-6, but won on Friday night 17-4 after trailing 4-2 going into the 7th inning. And then they won on Sunday in a really good game, 5-3. Auburn's scrappy team. I'm guessing you didn't watch any of the games, did you, Gavin?
Oh, no.
Day-Day, I know you watched it. And Big Montana and myself went. So we went Sunday. Big Montana had tickets. He was taking a coworker or somebody, couldn't go. So he called me and I went. But Saturday night, we snuck into the game. We went to eat, watched the first 4 or 5 innings, got down. We were close to the strip. I was like, let's drive over to the stadium, go take a look, see what the atmosphere is like. We get over there and there's students walking out of the stadium like crazy. Why? I don't know. I guess they just didn't care. They were going to party. Big Montana said, let's go see if we can find our way in. So we went to the parking garage, parked, walked down to the right field line. Or was it the left field line? I'm not going to give it away because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But walked to the stadium and talked to an usher, and they let us in after Big Montana sweet talked them. And I'm saying they because I don't want to assume anyone's gender, Gavin.
I'm about to get off here.
I'm just kidding. I just don't want to reveal their identity. Get anybody in trouble. No, I mean, we ended up standing down the right field line, standing room only. I could only see the batter from probably like the chest up. You could see the rest of the field pretty good, but packed house, a lot of people standing there. Negative Nease dropped a foul ball. Jordan Beck hit a foul ball. I had a can in my hand and tried to one-hand it with my left hand, and it hit me in the hand, like right there.
Oh.
I dropped it. Guy behind me picked it up. So embarrassing moment.
I've seen better hands on a snake. Oh,
I mean, it was way up in the air. I'll say that. I mean, and it hurt when it hit my hand. It hurt. It stung. I thought I was going to wake up with a bruised hand, but it just went away. So I'm just weak, Gavin. I'm so weak. I'm so weak. Day, what do you think about the Vols right now? How'd they look last weekend? I know they're playing right now, so we won't talk much about tonight's game, but we still looking good right now?
I think they're looking good. I mean, can't 41-1. That's hard to hate on a team, even if they lose a couple more. I mean, in baseball, you should have 10 losses, 12 losses at this point in the season.
Yeah.
I think that's the next closest team. It's crazy. But, I mean, baseball is a fickle sport.
I think
The
the
best
thing
team doesn't always win. I mean, it's kind of like basketball.
I think the thing I look at is we just want to win series, win 2 out of 3.
Right, yeah.
But we're sweeping everybody. And that's why, I mean, last weekend was a great series win. Auburn's good. They're not
good. They're better
probably
than I thought.
top 10, but they're scrappy. They got a good top of the lineup.
Apparently they're projected 1 seed. So
yeah, I mean
I know they give out way more 1 seeds in baseball than they do in other sports, but still they're 1 seed.
They were in the top 16 in the projections last I looked. So they would definitely host a regional, maybe not a super regional at this point. But what my big question with Tennessee baseball is, because everybody knows that we're dominating right now. What is the butt hurt from the rest of not even just the conference, the country? Like, what is going on? Like, it's like every weekend we play, something else comes up that's controversial or
you're killing
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, yeah, Vitello probably shouldn't have tossed the bat back over into the thing, but I mean, when have we ever bat flipped into a dugout? A traditional dugout that's flying into the dugout, hitting players. Luckily, we have a fence, and it's like that flat style dugout. I mean,
yeah,
it's not even a dugout; it's just like a walkout. It's a better way to say it.
I mean,
they want. I don't know. They want to make us villains, but these dudes embrace it, and that's what makes them good.
I don't think the guy was throwing it at Tennessee. I think it just kind of bounced.
But he definitely threw it higher and more, he threw it more towards the dugout than you normally would, but I don't think he had intentions of it going that far, if that makes sense. Turf bounces.
I want baseball to be more fun. I just don't get the bat flipping all the time on everything. Just drop the bat and run. I mean, I get it, but
it's because the pitchers are talking the whole time. So when they get their hit, they're gonna let them know.
I mean, I don't mind a little subtle bat flip, but some of them are a little, tossing it 10 feet up in the air, and take your time running around the bases. I'm all right with that. Now, as a pitcher, like when I was playing, I would not be all right with that. I probably would throw at you the next, but it happens so frequently now you would be throwing at the whole team.
Exactly.
What do you think, Gavin, about bat flips and taunting?
I love taunting. But I don't know. I really don't. I mean,
would you, if you hit a home run, say you hit a home run in softball at Castle Park, would you bat flip?
I'm really sorry, but even in my dreams, I still don't hit home runs.
But if you did, would you bat flip?
I would have somebody check the bat, because there's
for
no
a sticker.
Yeah, I mean, there's something wrong with the bat. There's no reason I should be able to hit a ball over the fence.
With some of the guys you play with, there might be something wrong with the bat.
Hey, it's rough. Okay. But, I don't know. Just, I can't even imagine hitting a home run. Honestly, can't.
But what do you think about fans crying about? I mean, it's every week. Let's take a look back.
They make up a new story every time they come.
The Vandy,
they were mean to me.
The Vandy game, the Vandy series was the bat with the sticker not being on it. The Missouri game, I don't remember even what that was about. It didn't really matter. Something was going on there that weekend.
I think it was just because that's where Vitello was from.
The Alabama series, you had the ejections early on where Vitello came out to argue because the night before the umpiring was awful, and little Jeffrey Macias threw Vitello and he bumped him, and Frank Anderson was tossed. Macias also threw out, well, actually that was the home plate umpire, threw out Alabama's first base coach. So you had all that going on. And then last let's see, the weekend at Florida, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of those games. Did anything go on there? I don't think there was. Vitello was out. There wasn't a lot going on.
Because he came back the third game?
The Sunday game, yes.
Yeah. I don't remember anything wild. I mean, it was a wild series on how we won it, but I don't remember anything crazy happening.
And then last weekend it was the Auburn series. I believe that's correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the bat flip into the dugout and Vitello threw it across the field. And then supposedly a mom or a family member of one of the Auburn players said she was just outraged at the language she heard from some of the Tennessee fans. And apparently Drew Gilbert dropped an F-bomb after the pitchers for Auburn supposedly told him to S his D. So, I mean, it's baseball. That stuff happens. You all don't understand how much trash talking goes on a baseball field.
It's constant.
I mean,
it goes on basketball. It goes,
it goes on in every sport.
Every football, if they were mocked up, oh my goodness. People
you really can't see it in football. It's awful. But baseball, I know even when we played in the Ed Bailey League in Knoxville, we were constantly, it was, mostly in good humor. But there was sometimes it got intense. It's just going to happen. Get over yourselves.
Yep. It's just like, and it's like half these stories are just, they're made up. They just lost.
It's Auburn. Fake news.
Auburn did it in basketball. They've done it in baseball. It's just like, oh, we lost. We better say they were mean to us.
Auburn is becoming one of the whiniest fan bases, them and Arkansas. I don't know what's going on. Jeez, and you got to understand, too, that this is being done on Twitter. So that doesn't represent
it doesn't.
Majority.
Very small sample size.
Of their fan base. Because we have some pretty idiotic
Weirdos.
people on Vol Twitter, if you want to call it that. Look, his videos are entertaining, but I don't know if I sent it to you, Gavin or Day, but the Andy guy. Good grief. He had one today where he was talking about he witnessed a car wreck driving down the interstate. Somebody bumped into him in a BMW, and then there was a Jeep Grand Cherokee or something in the fast lane, and it wouldn't get over, and it got hit and almost flipped. And he said, well, hell, I just drove off. That's and people think that's Tennessee fan. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. If they're listening to this, I don't really care, but it's kind of embarrassing sometimes to see and listen to some of the stuff they go on with. But that's every fan. I say that to say that every fan base on Twitter has more. I guess you could call me and Gavin and you and Big Montana morons.
Yeah, but, sure. I got called one today for saying Saturday Down South was dumb, which they have horrible takes. This is a Tennessee fan. Ooh! I'm like, dude, you're defending a publication that just has bad takes on purpose sometimes. I think it's like they're talking about where Tennessee would finish in standings.
I saw that.
I'm like, seriously? And then it was like, I said they have the best pitching coach. Oh, a pitching coach is gonna make a difference for a freshman? Actually, yes, they would. Now, what they're doing, I don't, that nobody saw that coming, but the article said almost certainly impossible. Well, if you put almost and certainly together, you're basically nullifying that and calling it impossible feat. And they're saying all we could do is beat people with a bat. Maybe.
Yeah, that's another. I was telling
really.
I was telling Big Montana Sunday. Jordan Beck hit a home run. I think it was 430 something feet. Just a bomb. And I was like, I thought the stadium was too little. These guys, some of the home runs are just barely going out, and that happens at every stadium.
Everywhere.
But some of these bombs Tennessee's hitting would be out at Hoover, Omaha. They'd be out there. 430 feet, there is no field that's 430 feet long down the line.
No.
Or to center. And maybe just center, I think you're going to look at 410, 415, 420.
Yeah. On some of the big parks. Then they're either pulling it, they train all the time. Beck even said it. He's like, I approach batting way different now than I did my freshman year. I was up there swinging. Now I'm up there scheming, I guess you would call it. And he just made a spectacular catch back to back, by the way.
So one thing that there's I'm not going to call them a bad name, but Um, there was a guy sitting next to us Sunday that said Sonny DeShera for Auburn was just a one-trick pony, and somebody beside him said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "All he does is hit home runs." I'm looking at his average right now. He's batting .436. At the time the guy came up to bat, he was batting .439. That guy's pretty good. Big
No,
guy.
I agree.
Looks like
It's one of those things. It's like he's really good, but just imagine him being in, and I'm not knocking him, but being in a more, I don't know, physical shape than what he is. It's like sometimes that holds those top level athletes back. Look at the Pelicans player. That's his big hurdle. He can't figure out the weight, and he'd be so much better and be on the court all the time. But it's just like, just imagine what he could do if he could lean up just a little bit. He'd keep that power, but be able to run to first when he hits that grounder to third. You know, little things like that. Stretch out a little bit further than what he can to get a double play or whatever.
Gavin, he looks, I don't know if you saw him, but he looks like a slow pitch softball player at Castle Park.
I did see a picture of him, and he looks like he would play on the team that I'm on, and be probably one of our best players. But that, I don't know if that's like a huge accomplishment.
I don't know if he can hit home runs though.
I mean, probably.
Oh,
probably.
This dude was. Yeah, he's got an art for the bat.
So just to, I think they said this during the game tonight, but I'm looking it up here just to reiterate how good Tennessee's been. They're leading the country in 4 different categories, both offensively and defensively. Slugging percentage at .620, which is outstanding. That's amazing. Home runs 108. I'm looking for, crazy. I believe it's ERA and WHIP. So Tennessee is leading the country in WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched, which basically indicates how many people you're walking, giving up hits, how many people you're putting on base per inning. Tennessee's at .91. Anything below 1 is amazing. Anything above 1, you're starting to get in, basically thinking Tennessee's putting on less than 1 player on base per inning on average. Think of it that way. And ERA, why is it not pulling up? But I'm pretty sure Tennessee's leading the country in earned run average. And I cannot find it. But I'm pretty sure Tennessee's leading the country in earned run average with like a 2.1 something. Yeah, something like that. It's below 3, which is amazing. But yeah, those 4 categories, that's indicative of where Tennessee's at right now. I mean, they're dominant. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they might lose tonight while we're recording this. It's 2-2 in the 7th. But I mean, SEC's tough. I mean, it might just win 2 out of 3 and move on.
2 out of 3. If they win, or if they were to sweep this, they automatically win the East, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, with 2 more series to go, they still got Georgia at home next weekend, and then they go to Mississippi State, Starkville, the weekend after that to wrap up the regular season. Between then, let's see, next Tuesday they have Bellarmine at home, and then the week after that they have Belmont at home, which is the final home game of the season, except for obviously the regions, maybe super regionals. We'll see. But
you know, it's crazy. They're at 41 wins. They could get to 50. We went to the College World Series last year and had 50.
Yeah.
One. That's nuts.
You know, one thing that will bring us back down to earth, Gavin, is I did look up, because we've been compared to that 2000 South Carolina team, but we have a better record than they do at this point. They didn't even make it to the super regionals, I don't believe. They did not make it to Omaha. So, I mean, Tennessee can still lose this thing. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen in the you just never know what's going to happen. And baseball is a weird sport. It's a lot like Day said. It's a lot like basketball. Football, you kind of know for the most part who's going to win, especially anymore with all the talent going to just a handful of schools. But, you know, baseball, basketball, it's a toss-up a lot of times.
Yeah, it is. I mean, your talent gap isn't as large.
Right.
And baseball. Just think of how many kids are playing baseball. That talent pool is huge too.
Right. It definitely is. So, any more thoughts on baseball, Gavin? Your
I have
favorite
nothing.
sport?
Yeah,
You have nothing. I was wondering, you've been awful quiet.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. At all.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not.
Tennessee's dominating in something and you have nothing.
Yeah, you're welcome for me not watching, so you can win.
Well, we appreciate your support,
Yes,
Gavin.
thank
We
you.
do
You got it.
appreciate it.
I love them, but I'll never watch. So keep Tony V forever.
Yeah, Bowling said it a couple weeks ago. He's his
Mhm.
favorite coach ever right now at UT.
I think he's up there. Yeah.
I mean, he's quickly making his way there. I think
Bowling hates Barnes, so he's only got to beat Heupel. That doesn't seem hard.
I think he's saying ever like Philip Fulmer,
Bruce
Well,
Pearl.
Bruce
I
Pearl.
hate Philip Fulmer.
But you hate Philip Fulmer.
He
Pearl.
can kick rocks.
That's right. Scum of the earth.
That's Memphis.
Pearl is really just on a bad foot. Just because he's at Auburn had some winning. I don't know if that's like a fair comparison for Bowling, but anyway, I don't think that's a big scale he's got going on.
No, and I think we're kind of living in the moment too. But Vitello looks like he's got staying power. I mean, he's 38 years old. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't know where he would go at this point. I mean, we can pay him pretty much whatever he wants, and we're in the process of upgrading facilities on campus. I don't know that Tennessee will slow down. They're still recruiting at a pretty high clip. So I don't see this. They may go win the SEC this year, get to Omaha, maybe not win the national title, or they may win it, but I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I mean, they may not be number one every year, but
they're going to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be competing for the SEC every year, going to the NCAA tournament and competing to go to Omaha. They may not go every year. It's hard to get there. It's tough, but buddy of mine, I think he summed it up best. He said, "I hate to be championship or bust." He said, "But I'm almost to that point with this team. Like anything less than a title is probably at this point not going to cut it."
Yeah.
I mean, I
hate
to
say because there's only one team that can do it, but yeah,
right.
The way they played.
I hate to be like that, but he's probably right.
They're way better. Did you see that graphic? It's like Tennessee up in the corner. Yeah. Everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we're by far heads and shoulders the best team in college baseball right now. And that's why I said earlier, if we continue on that trajectory, continue on that path, win the SEC title, go to Omaha, win the national title, with just a handful of losses, because at this point, there's not many. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, counting Georgia, Mississippi State, 8 counting Bellarmine, 9, 10, 11 counting the 3 Kentucky games, even counting the game that's going on right now. So there's 11 games left. So say we lost all of those, we would be at 15 losses. But that's obviously probably not going to happen. So, I mean, you're looking at Tennessee going into the SEC tournament with at least less than 10 losses. I mean, it could be 5 or 6 losses, which is crazy to go that deep into the season and have a record like that and a team like that.
Haven't seen it in my lifetime. I mean, football, but much less games.
Do you think there's an actual shot that this Tennessee team could beat like the Cincinnati Reds, who are atrocious?
No. Well, with baseball, maybe. I mean,
is baseball the most realistic sport this could happen?
They're professionals for a reason too.
Yeah, I mean there's a reason.
Minors and
fair.
Maybe of the sports, I would say baseball's probably got your best chance.
So you got like a 5-game series or something. You think they could take a game?
I think they could take a game. I don't think they would win a series.
I don't think they'd win a series, yeah.
I mean, because you got to think these guys were the best or either at a high school level or at the collegiate level coming up. So,
I mean, you look at Jordan Beck, everybody says he's a MLB prospect, going to go top 20, blah, 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 blah. He still has to go through the minors before he's touching that major league field.
Hey,
He's not going to be out there day one.
Hey, our boy Chris that sat in YY8, he thinks the Vols could beat the Reds. He's a big Reds fan. And he's pretty sure, he tweeted the other day that he said, quote, "I'm fairly certain that Vols baseball could beat the Reds in a best of 3.
That's hilarious.
Nice.
He may not be wrong. All right, moving on. We lost Gavin. Something happened with his computer. So if you see a weird glitch or see something weird, hear something weird in our podcast, we lost Gavin and his computer. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. He just has all kinds of trouble.
Youngins.
Yeah, these kids these days. But glad to have Gavin back. The show has not been the same without him. You and Big Montana have filled in. But Gavin will be back, I'm pretty sure, once we get to
football.
Get to football. That's his thing. So
the ZZ, whatever.
Everybody loves football. I mean, people that don't watch sports like football and watch it. But
that's true.
Speaking of football, recruiting's been going pretty well for the Vols, I guess.
Just a touch.
Do you have any updates for us? I know we got Brew McCoy from Southern Cal. Anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any inside info this time. And it sounds like they're going after that kid from UCF.
The one you were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like they're really going to go after him. So we'll see. I mean, of course we need another wide receiver. No, I mean, we're young in that position. So experience, somebody that's already done 1,000-yard receiving. Yeah. Sign them up.
Yeah. Tennessee got Brew McCoy, who was a former 5-star wide receiver / athlete at Southern Cal. They did not have him listed on 247 for some reason. Not sure why. I was trying to look up his stats real quick.
He doesn't have a lot.
No, he doesn't. He signed with USC in 2019. Just 2 days after it signs, it says with the Trojans, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury took the Arizona Cardinals job, which prompted McCoy to enter the transfer portal. Good grief. A few weeks later, after less than a month at UT, McCoy was on the move. He initially transferred to Texas, participated in spring practice, and for the Longhorns, he was there for 4 months, which he decided to re-enter the transfer portal, head back to USC. He redshirted in 2019 due to an illness. His first real action occurred in the 2020 season, where he had 21 receptions, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Said he was behind the depth chart. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London, who both went to the NFL. The only thing about him, and maybe Tennessee's back, he was arrested on suspicion of domestic violence in 2021, July of 21 last year. He was suspended, but it said they declined to file charges after a month-long investigation. So he remained suspended, but it doesn't say why. But now he's coming to Tennessee, so we'll gladly take him because it's another weapon for Hendon Hooker to throw to.
Phew, yeah, that's for sure.
And they also got another commitment from a defensive lineman. What was his name? Austin.
I saw that. Somebody from ETSU.
And he was and we got. I mean,
it's at Liberty.
I'm trying to find it here.
ETSU,
it's like,
but
they're doing an awful job updating their websites here, guys. I mean, I'm on 247 Sports and there's nothing about it on here.
I think that guy was supposed to be like a walk-on. I could be wrong.
And he could be, but you would think that the commitments.
Yeah, no matter what, should show up.
They got Caleb Herring, which was a big get that we mentioned a few weeks ago. Edge rusher, 4-star. They don't have any of these guys on here. I'm not real sure what's going on here. And I'll continue to look, but Tennessee's killing it on the recruiting trail right now.
And everyone hates it. And Saban and all of them are wild.
More butt hurt. I mean, here we go again.
It's unreal.
I don't get it. There was an article I found this the other day. I'm pulling it up now. It's on A to Z Sports. Opposing assistant coach throws major shade at program that gave 2023 5-star recruit an $8 million NIL deal. That's us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no secret there.
They make it sound like they just hand them $8 million already. No, that's not what's happened.
That's not how this works.
I mean,
They don't just write them a check.
They sign contracts and they have to go through all the process to get all 8 million. Just like,
isn't it ironic? I
big
think you
boys that
tweeted
do it.
this. Isn't it ironic that Saban and Kirby Smart are upset
Yeah.
about NILs?
And everyone, whether they want to admit it or not, know they cheat and pay kids. And I'm sorry, kids from homes that don't have money can't pull up in a Hellcat. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Or
kidding. I mean, how
Post
many
stuff
years
on Instagram with $15,000 cash.
I mean, how many times have we been on the, looking at Alabama football players that have nice vehicles, they're posing in front, they're not hiding it. I mean, where are they getting that from?
Well, I mean, it's like everybody's like, "Oh, you gave out McDonald's bags." Blah, blah. Who do you think Pruitt learned it from?
Yeah,
I mean,
he learned it from the best.
He was sloppy, but who do you think Pruitt learned it from?
Okay, here we go. Here, finally, an update. I'm not sure why this wasn't pulling up earlier. Carnell, well, that's not right.
Yeah,
That's prospects.
potential.
Well, this will help. Carnell Tate is one that Tennessee it says it's warm on. Vic Burley. Well, let me start over. Carnell Tate, wide receiver, 4-star from IMG Academy. A lot of suitors for him. Vic Burley from Warner Robins, Georgia, defensive lineman, 5-star. Tennessee's warm on him. Chadavion Bradley from Missouri, edge rusher, 6'5", 210, 5-star. Tennessee's warm on him. I'm trying to look through here. Of course, we've got some of these guys. I still don't understand. We have commitments from some of these guys, and they're not showing up on here. So,
yeah, they may just do a bad job of transfer stuff.
I didn't do a good job preparing this because I've been for the show this week because I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off the last couple of days. But we got a commitment from a transfer from Ohio State, a defensive back, 4-star.
Big need.
Austin Lewis is the kid's name that's transferring as a walk-on. Was it ETSU? So adding some depth on the defensive line. I'm trying to see. There was somebody else. Of course, we mentioned Brew McCoy. There's the kid from Central Florida you talked about last week that apparently he's scheduled a visit with Tennessee early next week. So that's something to keep your eye on. I mean, Tennessee lost a lot at receiver last year, but they've got a lot coming back.
Yep.
And they got a lot coming in that can step right on the field, I think, and hit it running.
I agree.
Basketball news, and we've talked about recruiting just a little bit. Julian Phillips has been all over the place, scheduling visits everywhere. We made his was it Final 5 or 6?
Final 5, or maybe it was 6 because you count G League. But I mean, I don't know what to think. The guy that talked about Key, talked about Yuri Collins. That sounded like somebody didn't want to get in trouble for tampering, but. Then you got.
Has Yuri Collins done it? Has he announced anything?
He went back.
Oh, he's back at St. Louis. I haven't heard anything about it.
That's just so strange. I mean, but
that
whatever.
Is weird.
But Phillips, man, he's all over the place. I don't think anybody knows but him.
Yeah, he's whittled his list down to Auburn, USC, Florida State, South Carolina, Tennessee.
And it sounds like it's really between Auburn and Tennessee.
And the G League, like you said.
Yeah, and the G League, of course.
I was reading the other day. Of course, it's so early for next year, but Tennessee's got a visit from a 5-star point guard in next year's class, I believe, that's coming for a visit. So I mean that Tennessee keeps recruiting at this level, they're always going to be there, but everybody's recruiting at that level right now.
Recruiting at that level, and I mean even the VolQuest guys said it, but I think I tweeted it out of anger that Barnes better get on board with the NIL the way it is, or we're not going to get those players.
So what
And
I haven't got to read a whole lot about what is the deal with. I've seen that from a few people.
I mean,
I've not
from
really got to read about it. What's
what
going
I
on
would,
with that?
what I was kind of led to believe is he doesn't like that the guys that have been there and put in the work under him, which I totally understand it, are not getting the same deals as these new guys coming in. Well, unfortunately, that's how it is now. And those guys that are there, the way they're going to have to get it is I'm going to transfer. That's how they're going to have to get a new deal, because they look at them as like, well, they're kind of satisfied. But he wants those guys to get more money than the guys that are coming in. But again, you want to get these big boys in the door, you're gonna have to pay them or get them a deal or whatever you want to call it.
Do you think Danny White and UT will allow, and I'm not just saying not just Barnes, but any coach to dictate something like that? Because I was reading earlier this afternoon that Wichita State's going to fire or is in the process of firing their athletics director because he couldn't get on board with how the NIL was going. Do you think Danny White and them go to Rick Barnes and say, hey, dude, I don't care what you think, we're gonna let this happen?
I mean, I don't know, because he's built a good program. Whether you like him or not, he fails in March, blah, 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 blah. He's built a good program, and you're not guaranteed to replace him with somebody that can keep the success going. You never are. So, and he's still recruiting at a decent level. So it's kind of hard to say, you're out of here if you don't do it exactly the way we want it done. But it's clearly working for football.
Yeah. I pulled up the I found an article where Barnes, it was this last week. I didn't realize he had put all it, or this was out there. But he did an interview with Outkick.com. I'm assuming it's Trey Wallace, but he worries about the role of NIL on official visits. And when discussing Tennessee with a prospect, he says over the last recruiting cycle, he's seen a shift. Players now presume that an NIL offer will be a part of the recruiting pitch, especially with current money figures being thrown out. There was a player for Miami basketball that it came out last week that if he didn't get more money in his NIL, he was transferring. He was entering the portal. Now he backed off of that, never did it.
Yeah, I think because he was told that you're going to lose your NIL deals you currently have, because that's the thing. They're young. They still don't. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm still learning financially, but you say all this stuff, you signed a contract. There's language in there that prevents you from doing that. So, I mean, they can say, well, you want more money, you ain't getting none from us type of deal.
Rick Barnes, I'm reading here, he's not wrong on this. He said all he wants the NIL to be was what it was supposed to be when it was first introduced, which is players making money off their likeness once they got to campus. And in the last year or so, it's morphed into so-and-so signing just massive deals before they even get here, just to get him to come. I mean, he's right on that.
I agree. That's what it was supposed to be. But you got states that have made it to where these high school kids can cash in on it too. So in turn, you have to let that happen, because they get to cash in on their name, image, and likeness as well.
I'll say this. I have a feeling that's why Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski got out of it.
100%. And
if it continues down this path, we won't have Rick Barnes here much longer. No. He's not going to fool with it. He's just not. And I couldn't blame him.
He might get an assistant that gets well-versed in it, and he's like, you're dealing with all this. Maybe.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I think we got, I mentioned earlier, Danny White. I don't mean to just drag this out, but I think we've got an athletics director here that understands that, and he's going to make it a priority, or at least part of the program. It can't be the whole thing. I mean, a player's got to want to come here, not just for, I mean, some of them, yes, they're going to want to come to a place because of money, but there's an attraction to the program, the town you're in, the location, facilities, things like that still play a huge part, probably more than just the money. But, the Nico.
Well, if they have a good support system, it'll play more than the money.
I'm going to have to read this whole thing. I didn't realize this was out there. And maybe we can talk about it on our next show. But yeah, it's not going away. I know Nick Saban, Kirby Smart's been crying about it. Rick Barnes wasn't really crying about it, but you could tell he's
No,
not
but
a fan of it.
he has a valid point. It's not just like, well, I don't like it. Well, he gave why he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Which I can respect
guys, college basketball is probably going to be a little different because the really good players are just wanting to be at somewhere for a year anyway. So NILs may not be just that huge of a deal because they're going to go pro the next year anyway. But Barnes is still, with his track record of putting guys in the pros, especially since he's been here, he's still going to get looks from big time players. I mean, Julian Phillips may come here. I hope he does. I mean, since we recorded last, by the way, Justin Powell has entered the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That one kind of came out of nowhere.
It did. I don't know about, I mean, there's talks that he's going to try to go play professionally overseas because he's already, of course, used his transfer. And there's also talks that Tennessee's working really hard to get him immediately eligible to wherever he transfers next, so he doesn't have to transfer down. But if that's the case, they're not going to let him transfer in conference again. I'm assuming they would put him somewhere else.
He needs to go to a mid-major. He'd fit in perfect at a mid-major.
And, I mean, everybody bashed Barnes about how he was being used. I'm like, go back and watch what he did at Auburn. His numbers were heavily inflated against teams like, I'm just going to throw it out there, Tennessee Tech and stuff like that. That's where he got all his points. And then his SEC numbers, the 2 games he played, he was way down.
And I didn't realize this either. He had transferred several. He was like,
I had no clue.
Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He's been all over the place.
Everywhere.
So we don't need those guys
here.
Happy,
right?
We don't need those guys here. But Tennessee's killing it on the football recruiting trail. We'll keep you guys posted on that as we move out of the springtime and into the summer months. And UT basketball recruiting, there's no time off. Hopefully we'll know something here pretty soon on Julian Phillips. Apparently, I just learned during this show that Yuri Collins went back to St. Louis. I hadn't heard. I seriously had not heard anything about that. That blows my mind.
He just posted it one day, and then it was like I saw something about Barnes was worried about tampering, and that was that. Now I don't know if that's true, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. And I'm trying to look it up here. I mean, I don't get it. I don't. And that happens a lot. They enter the portal, but what? And
go back. But, I mean, that talk of he's locked up was going on for weeks. It wasn't just, it was like before.
It was before he even tested the waters of the draft.
Right. So,
we'll see.
I don't know.
I was looking at Tennessee in football recruiting right now, 7th nationally. Still way, way long time.
Yeah,
long time to go. Basketball, we're still way early on, but if you're listening to this show and you haven't listened to the podcast I did with Nathaniel Rutherford from Vols Basketball Fever, he had a lot of good insight on the basketball program, where Tennessee's going, where we were last year. So check that one out. You can look at that anywhere. Hey, we're on Spotify now. I figured that one out. We've got a YouTube channel. So we're pretty much, I did a little work while we didn't record last week. I think we're pretty much on anywhere you can get podcasts now. So there's really no excuse not to be able to listen to the show. But we are on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify user, congratulations. You can listen to us without having to dance around. I know one listener of the show, Justin Grubb, I won't give that one out. Justin Grubb, big listener of the show, listens every week. He is a big Spotify guy, so he won't have to dance around anymore. Also, I got to give a shout out to Worm Tally. He's batting 1,000 in the softball league, so I told him I'd give him a shout out. And I'm 2-0 pitching. Worm's batting 1,000. Veteran leadership across the board. The old guys are still getting it done, even though we're not that old. But these young guys, they just can't handle it. But Worm, we need Worm back. We need him back. So if you're listening to this, Worm, shout out. You're batting 1,000. Jeff County guy.
Hey.
I won't tell you where he lives, but he lives very close to the high school.
Oh.
Just a stone's throw away, literally.
That would be only one place.
Literally a stone's throw away from the high school. Maybe across the 4-lane. I don't know. But I don't know. You got anything else before we check out of here? It's getting late.
That's it. Yeah.
We're still keeping track of the Vols baseball game. You're probably more than likely listening to this. The game's over, but right now it's bottom of the ninth. There have been no runs scored by either team since the 4th inning. So we got ourselves an old-fashioned pitcher's duel here. So
Yeah.
Tennessee's got Kentucky.
Beat your head against the wall.
Yeah. Tennessee's got Kentucky this weekend, 3 games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They're off on Mother's Day. Back at home against Bellarmine on Tuesday, and then they're at home last SEC home series of the season against Georgia next Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Also, I don't think we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the rest of the year.
No, we're done with that.
So that's good.
Weird.
But yeah, just a handful of games left. Tennessee, I think, can clinch with a sweep this weekend. So we'll see what goes on there. But we'll try to get the whole crew back next week. It was good to have Gavin back. Don't know what happened with his audio halfway through the show, but we'll figure it out.
Nice
Big
to be sitting in YY8.
Yeah.
chair back.
Day is, if you're watching this on YouTube, he got his green screen fixed, it looks like. And that's seriously, that's a picture from our seats there in YY8.
Yep. Pre-game.
And I mean, you can see, that view, like, that's why I love those seats. You can see
Phenomenal.
the whole field. You can see holes open up on the only bad part of you couldn't see when they got down to the other end.
Yeah, the goal line
viewing was
situations.
hard,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I love those seats. I hate we're not there anymore, but excited to be in Z11 this fall. Wrote the university a check the other day, so
Yeah, I did mine too.
that one hurt, but
It was less than what I had to write last year.
yeah, I gave a little extra, so maybe I can get some better parking. But
yeah, no, I didn't give them extra.
But well, it's good to be back. We'll hopefully the Vols win the series this weekend against the mouth breathers up there in Kentucky and Lexington. I saw where a lot of people may be going to the game. Tickets were cheap. I actually looked at it, but too much going on here.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the number 1 team in the country, Tennessee Vols. Carter's dropped from number 1 in the state in 3A. They're now number 2, but they got district tournament coming up this weekend. So I'll be on the call for, let's see, Friday night 2 games, Saturday night 2 games, Monday night 2 games, Tuesday night an if necessary game. So I'm calling the whole district tournament. So I might have a voice next week for the show. I might not. We'll see.
Can be a mom.
I'm about ready for baseball to be over. It's been a long season, so a lot of games. All right. Well, that's this week's show. You got anything before we go?
Go Vols.
Day's ready to go watch Ozark. Season finale. I'm just finishing up Better Call Saul.
I need to get back on
I've caught up on season. I got one more episode to catch up on the final season here. So
I'm on season 3.
Great show. I just finished.
Show.
I finished season 5 last week, and then started season 6 earlier this week, and I've binged my way through it. So I'm I think I'm 1 episode away from being caught up. So
okay. Yeah.
Hopefully watch that over the weekend. But appreciate everybody listening. Remember to check us out wherever you get podcasts officially now: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, Amazon, Alexa, Music, whatever you want to. Just Google us, you'll find us. We're on YouTube now. Like I said, you can go to YouTube, type in section YY8 podcast. I've got 1 video up, so we'll hopefully get this one up at some point over the weekend. But hope everybody has a happy Mother's Day. If your mom's still around, go fix her some lunch, take her out to eat. Or if you are a mom listening to this, happy Mother's Day, and go Vols. And we'll see you guys next week here on the Section YY8 podcast.